to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.net. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, thanks for joining us today. Now, as you listen to the show, I really do hope that you feel my passion. And I guess the idea that change, I know, right? It's hard and we all kind of get that knot in our stomach. And I hope between my guests and I that we share some tips, ideas, strategies that you can implement immediately into your life to make that navigating whatever those change items are that you're going through, hopefully a smidge easier, to make your life a little bit easier. If you're loving the show, please go to Apple or Spotify, wherever you listen, and rate and review and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. And when you rate and review, I really do read those reviews, and I so am honored and appreciative of the kind words that people post. And my motivational quote today, to kind of set the scene for our conversation, the conversation I'm going to have with my guest, is by Charles Kettering. And Charles says, if you have always done it that way, it's probably wrong. And I love this quote because when COVID hit and the world literally stopped, I know that I had to pivot hard. I say I had my hips are still regaining mobility, right? Because I had to pivot so hard. And I realized that I had to unlearn the many things that had been working in my business for the previous 20 years. And they just weren't working anymore. So learning and unlearning and relearning is kind of a needed approach. So personally, me as a business owner, I know I need to keep an open mind. I need to learn new and relevant things every day for myself to stay relevant. And I need to continue to challenge how and why I do the things I do with that thought process of always looking to improve, work smarter, not harder, and of course, grow without overwhelm and burnout, which I think is so prevalent in our country today. Now, my guest today is William Gammon. Now, Bill is the owner and founder of Gammon and Associates. He's an accomplished senior executive, advisor, author, mentor, coach, and thought leader with over 50 years of experience. So we are in store for a true treat today. So please help me welcome Bill to the show. So Bill, thanks for being on, taking time out of your day. And I'm excited about our conversation today.
It's my honor, Connie. I'm privileged to be here and share
you.
some time with you and your listeners, because my goal for the rest of my life is to help folks like you and me, because I got to where I am over the last 50 plus years by a lot of folks helping me, a multitude, and some very noted people. Yeah. So I got some things to share, and we'll just go through those things along the way.
I love it. I love it. And sharing is caring, right, Bill?
Absolutely. If you don't care, you sort of keep it yourself. But when you do, it doesn't multiply. But Absolutely. When you share,
magic.
What you share comes back with lots of friends. And that's
true.
The way to build a business or a life, because the more friends we have and the more involved we are, the happier we become.
And I was just going to say that not doing it alone, it's certainly more fun too. And we don't have to have the struggle. I think that so many business owners are facing today, and even people in careers, that work for corporate. I think that the work model is off a little bit. So I'm excited about our conversation today. Now, I know my first question is, you have 3 cornerstones of really what it takes to run a successful business. Can you share what those 3 cornerstones are?
Well, regardless of your business, what I find is everyone is looking for more prospects, better conversions, and better profits. And big doors move on small hinges. And when we look at a business, I have over 40 different areas I look at in a business. And I usually start with a new client with a dozen of them, and we go through those and we pick out the ones that will help them find the most profit first. So that can really finance everything else.
That's exactly right. People are, I'm sorry, I didn't, go ahead, continue. I did not mean to interrupt you. Go ahead, continue your thought. So yes, then we have the money to pay for the other things.
The money to pay for everything else and then some, because today there is a lot of fear in the world and a lot of scarcity in the mindset of most people who need us.
Yeah.
And people are afraid to do something. Well, if you stay where you are because of fear, you're not going to get anywhere. And while you're staying there, your competitors are doing something to win the clients that you're waiting for something better to happen for.
Yeah.
And so you're losing time and money in doing it that way.
Yeah. Yeah, and time is money for business owners, right? Because that's really our most precious commodity, for us to get as much as we can done. Again, to be profitable. Um, I love how you just started with, if we can make money, let's start by really examining where's the profit coming from. And if we can amplify that, then we can fund the other things that we know we need to support the structure of the business and all of those pieces of the puzzle. They might not be immediate revenue producers, but we need them in place long term to support the revenue right over the long haul. What are some of the ways that you help your folks maybe kickstart marketing? Because I think that's really where the piece of the puzzle, where we spend a lot of money and we don't always get a good ROI on that.
Okay. Well, let's start out by first understanding where you are. If you're my client, I have to know what you're doing and how you're doing it and how it's working before I can tell you what to do next. And so do you, because based on what you said about Mr. Kettering, he was very good at doing what he did and built a lot of wealth in his time. But unless I have enough empathy and desire to become your friend before I become your coach or your mentor,
Yeah.
and get to know you and help you, after you tell me that, go deeper and clarify what it is you really want and where it is you really want to get to. Then together we can co-create a roadmap to get you there and put in some milestones that we can celebrate along the way, so that you don't get overwhelmed with going from here to there, but you have different bites, like eating an elephant, to accomplish and celebrate a nice meal every time you get to the next milepost.
What are the biggest changes that you've seen, 50 years that you've been doing this? Like, wow. Okay. And you're still doing it. Wow. So congrats
Because I
on that.
love what I do and I love helping people. And
Oh,
I sat down in my office here at home a week or 10 days after I retired from the financial business, where I'd been extremely successful, and decided I was successful because a lot of people helped me.
yeah.
And so I wanted to invest the rest of my life helping others just like me get to where they want to go. So I wrote a book that says fast track your business journey and thrive along the pathway to success. And in it, I have a few examples of how I help people, but that's only a handful out of the 40 that I mentioned, or the dozen or so that I normally start with. But one of the most effective principles in any business is the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule.
Absolutely.
Now, I tell my clients to take the Pareto principle to the second level. Let's say you had 100 things you really wanted to do in the next year with your business. If you cut it down to 20 out of those 100, you'd have a good start of getting a better focus. But if you took those 20 and used the second level of the Pareto principle, you'd get it down to 4. And 4 is much more manageable than 8. Then out of those 4, it's easier to rank them as which one is going to help you most now. And then level in the others following on before we get into doing too many things, which is part of the world right now. People are overwhelmed. Part is because of COVID. Part is because of the economy. Part is because of the cacophony of life and all of the twists and turns that happens.
It's true.
But the more we can simplify it and focus on what's important, the more we accomplish more for our business and ourselves and our families and the people we love.
And you just, as you were saying that, Bill, I had just popped into my head when you took the 100 things, right, and you really whittled it down to the four, what are the four most that's going to move the needle, right? 20% makes 80% of our income in this example. So what are those four things? Here's probably the reality, and I bet you've seen this with your clients. When you get those four going and you're rocking and rolling and you're really locked and loaded, where you're focused and you know what you're doing, those other 86 things, some of them are going to come along for the ride and happen without even have to put focus on it, right? Because you focused on the right four things. Is that true in your career and with your coaching?
Right. But like with a business or an executive in the business or a salesperson or whatever your job is, manager, we need to get like professionals. Professionals practice every day, but they don't just practice, they practice perfectly. And the more we can hone out things with someone like a coach or a mentor to help us see what we need to keep focusing on and working on, the more we get there quicker. At least that's what I found from those 50 years and then some.
Well,
now, if I try to market today, to get this into clarity, I have a degree in marketing and business from the University of Iowa, the Tippy School of Business, and it's 1979. And if I tried to market today with 1979 marketing strategies, everyone would be having my lunch and I would not have any dinner.
That's right.
So I'd get skinny quick.
That's the new diet plan from Bill.
No, that's not the diet plan. The diet plan is to look at reality today. It's different. To pivot, to understand you need to change. And like you said, change isn't easy. And there are stages to change. When we first start to change, we're very excited about it, buoyant. And then we start this new venture or whatever it happens to be. And then the first thing that we run into after just a little bit of time is misdeception, because deception is the second stage, and it comes out for this reason. Our conscious mind runs 95% of everything we do.
Yeah.
Wrong. Our unconscious mind.
I know what you were saying. I'm thinking of the iceberg. That 95% underwater is our subconscious, right? They're kind
exactly.
of
And it's there to protect us. It's there to run according to what we were socialized with, what we learned in school, what we incorporated as our identity over time. But to change a habit, you got to take it from the conscious and put it into the unconscious for it to become easy. Yeah. And you got to do it in a repetitive manner, like a professional golfer practicing a swing and grooving it in. Because if you practice it in a non-grooved in way, you're going to keep knocking it in the water or in the trees instead of keeping it on a fairway or putting it right next to the cup on the second shot.
You know, it's funny. I use that example, like Tiger Woods, right? Everybody, he's a master. He's still a master. And I said, do you think when, these golfers, I don't care whatever professional sport you look at, they all have coaches that are coaching them on whatever the skill is that they need to continue to refine and develop. So I said, Tiger Woods, when he's practicing, do you think he does it by himself? He has a coach and says, you need to turn your hands 1/32 of an inch towards you, or put your elbow out more, or whatever it is. They're microscopic changes for him to be able to achieve his level of perfection, right? And then once you get that muscle memory, you don't have to think, I have to turn 1/32. I have to turn 1/32. He does it automatically. But the coach is there pointing it out to him, because you don't know what you're doing wrong when you're doing it, because you don't see the mechanical breakdown, if you will, in this case, the swing, right, of the club to the ball. So I think that's the importance too, Bill, of a coach, to observe, see what you're doing, kind of break it apart, and then put it back together, working on the skills that need to be developed. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And that's why everybody, whether they are a basketball player, a football player, a tennis player, always has a coach that's a trusted friend.
Yeah.
Always practices with the coach. always does things that other people don't do, which puts them in the top of the heap
That's right.
and in the big money rather than just in the tournament.
Yeah.
The
Well,
difference between Secretariat winning the Triple Crown and running second in those races like Sham did is millions and millions of dollars in stud fees and other things for the people that own them.
absolutely.
And so the difference in performance in our business not only is what we do, but how we do it. It's like if I say a word, fire, that word in the English language can mean a lot of different things. Could mean you got to get out of your house. It could mean you lost your job. It could mean a nice warm fireplace in your living room or family room. It could mean a lot of different things. And so words are not just described by the word, it's also the emphasis, the tone, the tonality, the body language, everything else we do has to do with it, because that word, if I said it one way or I said it another way, could mean something different. And there's a receiver as well as a sender in those communications. So we need to be careful of how we say things as in addition to what we say.
Absolutely. And that's why I think coaching is so important. And I tell my clients that are coaches, if you don't have a coach, you shouldn't be coaching, because you have
Exactly.
blind spots, just like everybody has a blind spot. So, and especially, right, Bill, you know this, when it comes to your own stuff, you're so close to it, you're in the weeds with it. It's hard to see the forest from the trees, right? That kind of old saying, but it's true. So if someone is thinking, one of, like, even a friend of mine, if they're thinking of hire someone that's a coach, I go, are they being coached by someone? And they look at me, well, a coach shouldn't be coached. I go, the coach should be coached even more than the average Joe, because they're shining their light or helping you shine your light. And if no one's, exposing their shadow side or blind spots, you're in trouble as the receiver. You're paying money that they could be missing things equally on you. So, I have two coaches, right? Every coach should have a coach. I think everybody should have a coach, because we don't know what we don't know until someone says, hey, I observed. Did you know you do this? And then we have an opportunity to reconcile, make it better, develop the skill, get an education on whatever, right? To fill that deficit within us.
Exactly. And different coaches can help us in different areas,
Agree.
because someone calls us and we're talking about his business or this or that, and then he tries to bring up something else that's totally out of our place. And we need to know that that's not our specialty. We need to send that somewhere else.
That's right. Stay in your lane, right?
Well, when you do, you're much more effective. And when you're effective helping people, they don't mind paying you what you're worth. I mean, if I make somebody $100,000, they don't mind paying me a little bit. But if I make them $10 million, they don't mind paying me a whole big check more.
That's exactly right. And here's the thing, you can't chase the money. That's not what we're talking about.
No,
It's doing the right thing and helping others thrive with our zone of genius, right? To help support and help them grow. And folk, like you said, take that 100 things, pick 4, guaranteed you're going to make more money quicker. And then we could fund the other stuff you want to do, but let's have the income coming in. Great strategy. We don't do that. We go, no, I got to do all 100 things and then everything will work. We're waiting for the money to come in when we have to flip that narrative or that paradigm of thinking, right? That
exactly.
you can position it to get the money coming in.
And what I've found, Connie, is you can call that person back with that mindset that they can do the 100 things a year from now. They're still stuck in the same place.
It's true.
Unfortunately.
It absolutely. Sadly, it's sad.
Yeah. And I tell people I can double their business in 12 months. And that's in this economy.
Your testimonials on your website are amazing, by the way. It's
Thank
lovely.
you.
It's lovely to see because you're like a real human with all of this experience and you're paying it forward to help these businesses remain relevant and I'm going to say uncertain times. I've been in sales 40 years, right? You've been around for 50 years. You're about 10 years older than me, maybe. We've seen a lot in that time frame. Isn't all the time uncertain times?
There's always black swans over the horizon. And what I tell people about the market and investing, like you were talking, the black swans are going to come and go. If you're a long-term investor, you need to have some short-term money so that you don't worry about those, and you do what you ought to, so that in the long term, you're far better off than people who are like the turtle that didn't stick his neck out.
Yeah. Yeah. Now you're more like your world is marketing and has been marketing. So you've really seen the evolution now that we're in a digital world like that. That was a big change for marketing. What are some of the business strategies that you feel really are needed to increase the leads, the conversions, and the profits, those three kind of cornerstones? And I know you believe in lowering the cost along the way, but what are some of the strategies you help your folks do?
Well, before we get to the individual strategies, as I mentioned earlier, you need to sit down and you need to clarify what someone wants to do, find that that's really what they want to do, and then create that journey that's the plan so that we can then fit things in the right way. And I do it with a piece of software that's had spent over $2 million creating it that looks at those 40 things with almost 5 million AI looks at them. So wow. I got a lot of power beyond Bill that brings it to today and makes it real.
That's amazing.
And it's proven, and it's a process that if you go through the process and you just work with me, it's almost like paint by numbers. Yeah. But you have to do the work. I can do everything but your work, but I can show you things that we should order in a certain manner and what they would be worth to you based on what you're doing and where you are. And if somebody gives me 3 years of their taxes and expenses, I can sit down with them and find that 100,000 right there on the floor without even bringing in another client.
Isn't that amazing?
One of the first things is controlling cost, especially small businesses. They don't use the leverage that they could. And so that's one area. And every dollar that you control in costs drops right to the bottom line. That's profit in your bank account. I don't know a single business owner that isn't in business for profit, or at least thinks that's why they're in business. But when I see their P&Ls,
yeah,
wait a minute, there's some leakage here. And we need to fix the leakage in the boat early on before we take it out for a fishing expedition.
Exactly.
Then we need to go find the fish. And what I mean by that is we need to find the customers that we can really help. If we're a tuna fisherman, we shouldn't go after the blue marlin. Focus on your avatar, the person you can help, the person that's going to be happy with your help and follow your help. Because like a New Year's resolution, we can have the best plan in the world, and unless it gets action and implemented, it's paper tiger.
Yeah.
And I get no pride from helping someone that won't put it to use. And most people say they will. But there's a few, like buying a book or a program that is video to help them do something, and then they do nothing with it.
Yeah.
Read a chapter and lay it down instead of read the entire thing. And there's a lot of knowledge out there that people can take advantage of that folks like you and me already have to become a coach or a mentor. When I left the investment business, where I was extremely successful, I was the best new broker in America for shares in my first year in the business. I was number one in America for 3 different broker dealers over the next 30 years.
Nice.
And you don't build those businesses without helping a lot of customers. And you don't get that without listening to them and doing this. But I had a rule. If you called me on the phone or you came into my office and sat down, when the conversation was over, I wanted you happier than when you walked in.
I love that.
If you walk out happier, I know I did what I could.
Absolutely.
And if I give you the plan and I'm there to walk you through it and light the path and celebrate with you, you should be encouraged to do the work. And if it's not working, I usually can find that out from the KPIs that we set up to keep you on track. Because you have to have a way to measure it. And you have to have someone to hold you accountable to keep you doing it. And if you tell somebody you're going to do something, the chances are you'll do it more than if you say, I'm going to do it and don't tell anybody.
That's right. It's accountability.
And most of us do things for other people before we do things for ourselves. And we lose track of the goal in doing it that way.
Yeah.
That's a human trait. And it's not a bad trait. It's just a habit that could be changed with a little focus.
And I think that's the main thing. It's right. Our ability to focus. We're constantly chasing the new shiny object. And I do it too, Bill. I mean, I'm victim to that. Oh, that one sounds good. Let me try it. Let me look at it. Can I do that? Right. Instead of staying on course. I'm not saying that sometimes adjusting course isn't the right thing to do, but we have the syndrome, right, of what that shiny object syndrome in our society. I'm curious, we're out of time, but I do have one more question for you, just because you've been, God bless you, doing it for 50 years. What's the best advice you've ever received during your career?
Well, believe it or not, it was early on in my career, and the best advice I ever received was, you can get there quicker with a coach or a mentor than you can. And here's some of the coaches I've had: Norman Vincent Peale, Zig Ziglar.
Oh, you knew Zig Ziglar. He's my idol. He changed my life, Bill, in college. I had to write a paper, and it was about a Zig Ziglar book I had read, and he changed my life, and I believe changed the trajectory of how I learned and motivated, and I became ravenous to reading anything he wrote. Oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. Oh,
Now I'll
so
show
jealous.
you the Bill, Zig Ziglar, Isaiah 40-8. Read it when you get a chance.
I love it. I love it.
The Bible that he referred to, and that I do also from time to time, is a really good sales manual. Knocking, the door be open, seeking you'll find, asking I shall be given. Good instructions for a new salesperson.
Absolutely. And I was in sales. So that's so funny because he changed my life. Yeah. And there's so many wonderful mentors. But see, I'm the type too, Bill. You said it before. I can give you the plan. I could set it up for you. I could support you every step of the way. You could read a book, whatever it might be. But if we don't take action on it, really what's going to change? Absolutely nothing, because it's information, but it's information that you're not doing anything with to move your needle. So after I read his book and I implemented some of his strategies, it was mind blowing. And then on my spiritual side, the one who I think influenced me the most, I never had the opportunity to meet them, was Dr. Wayne Dyer, and reading his books, Wishes Fulfilled, and some of his, to help with that mindset, those shifts of taking control, right, of our thoughts become our reality, all of those things. They were two big influencers in my life, but I'm an implementer. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to do that like right now. So I'm all about taking the information and creating action. So I love that you said that, because your plan is only as good as the piece of paper it's written on. How do we lift it off the page? And that's through the execution. So I love that, but I'm jealous that you knew Zig.
I saw him several different times. And Norman Vincent Peale, at the time I met him, I was working at Naval Air Station, Pensacola, in the airline office. And I was going to the First Baptist Church, and Camille came through and tore up the Gulf Coast. I don't know if you recall that or not.
I
That was
do.
a large hurricane, the fifth largest in the
Yeah.
country at the time.
Yeah.
And our church went over to Pascagoula, Mississippi, and rebuilt a little church. And the following year, Dr. Peel came to give our church the Church of the Year in the United States award for what we did.
Oh,
And he preached a sermon. And in his sermon, he said this: thank God for the bottom, because when you're there, there's no way to go but up.
that's right.
And I've used that to help people who needed that over my life, even before I became a coach. And I tell people, take a piece of paper and draw a line across the middle. I call that the hope line. When you're on the south side of it, you're in despair and you're spiraling down.
Yeah.
And someone on the north side needs to throw you a lifesaver. And that lifesaver is called hope, and help you get above that line and then thrive and move up to where you really can go and do the things in your life that you want to achieve and can achieve.
Yeah.
But
And
when
serve.
we get stuck or
Yeah.
depressed or downtrodden, it's overwhelming to us sometimes.
Mm.
And so the best reason to have a coach is a coach can sense that and get you out of it. A coach can help you get out of it. A coach can cause you to look at it. And I call the things that hold a lot of people back anchors.
Yeah.
You know,
And we all have them.
we do. And I use a fishing example. You go fishing, you anchor the boat, and you want to go somewhere else, you got to get the anchor up. But what if that anchor is stuck? Can't go anywhere. So I tell people, look, visually in your mind, reach out and get that fishing knife, reach behind you and cut the rope to that anchor. And then your boat can go on down the river of life and you can do what you want. And that helps people to see that there is a way. And once they see there's a way, they start to move. And movement in the right direction starts to begin the steps that they need to take.
Yeah. Powerful. It's powerful. We are out of time, my friends, but I'm very jealous, but I love you. So everyone, I think everybody needs a little more Bill in their life. So I'm going to give you the website, and I'm also going to give you his email. It's Gammon and Associates, ASSOC.com for his website. Check it out. Wonderful.
No. Look at this one.
Which
I have 3.
Uh,
I thought that I told you this one, but maybe I didn't get it right. Gammon and Associates.net.
Oh, .net. Okay. Yes, you did. I think most people use .com. Okay. So .net.
Oh, GammonandAssociates.com is also me, but I have others. I have Coach Bill Trusted Friend out there too. So
Gammon. So I'll put on the show notes though, Bill, GammonandAssociates.net.
Right.
Got
on
it.
that website, you can download that book, Fast Track Your Business Journey, and thrive along the way for free.
Wonderful.
On that website,
I love free gifts.
What your website would be. There's a place that you can evaluate it. There's a place that you can schedule free time with me to talk.
I love it.
I will, not yours.
I will put that in the show notes. And also, if you have a question for Bill directly, I could share your email address, Bill.
Absolutely.
It's William W. Gammon at MSN.com. Don't worry. I will put both links in the show notes. So you'll have access to that free book, which I think is a must read for everybody. I know I'm going to read it. So it's Gammon and Associates.net and William W. Gammon at MSN.com, both of which will be in the show notes. Bill, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your life's journey. You know, now as you look back and you have all of these amazing pieces of wisdom, but it's not just wisdom, it's wisdom that you've used and implemented and reused and reiterated and tweaked and fixed over 50 years to be able to do what you're doing now. And again, I think shine the light on the darkness that some people are falling in, help them cut that line to their anchor, whatever phraseology you use. But thank you so much for being on and sharing your story, but sharing yourself with us. I truly appreciate that.
It's been a joy. God bless you and your family. Have a wonderful holiday. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.
Back at
Enjoy
you.
life.
You enjoy. Well said, my friend. Enjoy life because you got one shot at it. Do it right, right?
Well, if you do it right the first time, you don't need to repeat
it. Let's hope.
If you don't do it right the first time, you got to make a few corrections.
That's right. Right. Course changes, right? Yep. Thank you so much, Bill. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together that no matter what change you're facing, hopefully my guest and I provide a tip, a strategy, an idea, a story, a perspective, cutting that anchor, right? Cutting it, visualize, cutting that anchor so you can move forward. It's easier than you think. Here's the deal. Information is a beautiful thing. You've heard amazing information from Bill. If you do nothing with that information, what is going to change? Zippity doo dah, nothing. Take some of the ideas that Bill shared and please implement them in your life and watch the magic that happens. Bill wants to share one more quick thing. Go ahead, Bill.
One more parting thought. What you focus on, you find.
Yeah,
What you find grows. You
absolutely.
believe, and then you become.
I
It's
love
real
it.
simple if you have a mentor that keeps you focused.
Agree. We all need someone. Thank you for that last tip. Thank you all for tuning in. You've been listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.next. I truly wish you an inspired week. Please do something differently, and I promise magic will happen in your life. Life-changing things are forthcoming for you. So enjoy, be safe. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Thanks again, Bill. Have a great one.